earned his nickname as the Great Confessor for hearing the sins of the city's diocesan priests and even Pope Paul II on his visit to Argentina. When this particular priest died, Pope Francis was there. He had a duty of arranging roses around the man's casket. As he arranged the roses, he noticed the rosary gripped in the dead man's hand. The Pope openly admitted to prying the rosary from the dead man's cold clutch, though he never gave a very good reason why. He just wanted it, so he took it. Then he said he looked down at the man and told him, "Give me half of your mercy." Understanding what he did was wrong, Pope Francis kept the crucifix in his breast pocket all the way until his election as Pope in March of 2013. This was a challenge, as once he became Pope, he didn't have any more breast pockets to keep his stolen crucifix. So Francis had a special cloth pouch made to keep his crucifix in, and ever since he's carried it underneath his cassock. Thieving tendencies aside, Pope Francis is a very curious choice for the leader of the Vatican City State. Born Jorge Mario Bergoglio in 1936, Francis is the very first pope in history to be a member of the Jesuit order.
Yeah, we'll probably save up for a $10. I think that might be the way to do it.
As a young man, Francis didn't have powerful family members in the Catholic Church.
Here we go with the Judgment Day in the ring. This group causes chaos and destruction wherever they go, all in the pursuit of amassing as much power as they can.
Judgment Day is a legitimate threat to anyone in WWE. They have the numbers, the talent, and they will smash any superstar in their way. We're about to see!
And looking at Jacob Fatu.
DDT! Jacob about to end this fight. 2. Got it. There's the winners of the tag match.
Here are your winners, the team of Jacob Fatu, The Rock, Rey Mysterio, and Wade Barrett.
Being taken down in this manner will only make the Judgment Day more ruthless and more vengeful.
The Judgment Day won't go away. This kind of loss will only drive them to finish the job.
Or more specifically, there's something the church isn't telling you about everyone's favorite holiday gift giver. There is a Russian version of Santa Claus known as Dead Moroz. The church claims he's a demon. Russian Santa Claus has its roots deep in Slavic mythology. Nobody knows exactly where he came from, but it likely has something to do with an ancient Slavic god of winter, possibly named Morozko. In the late 19th century, Dead Moroz was rapidly gaining popularity in Russia among the transformed from an ancient Slavic entity to an old sage dressed in royal blue. He was draped in fur and decked out in silver pointy boots. Dead Moroz also had a sleigh just like Santa Claus, only his was pulled by a trio of pale horses. Just as Santa Claus was starting to catch on in Russia, the Bolshevik Revolution happened. The revolution is a wormhole that I won't be diving deep into today, but I will say this. It was partly about the lower classes rising up against the aristocracy. It was during the Bolshevik Revolution that Vladimir Lenin took power and Russia morphed into the communist nation it still is today. The Bolsheviks reclassified Dead Moroz as an illegal religious icon. They denounced Father Christmas and the whole Christmas celebration as aristocratic gluttony. Christmas had no place in the new communist Russia. But Dead Moroz never really went away. Even though nobody was allowed to celebrate Christmas, Dead Moroz remained in hiding. It wouldn't be for decades, but the Soviets did eventually embrace him as part of their winter festivities. Only not Christmas, since Christmas was illegal under Soviet rule. Dead Moroz showed up for New Year's celebrations. He arrived accompanied by Snegorochka, a Russian version of Mrs. Claus. As a workaround for the Christmas problem, Soviets had Dead Moroz...
The Judgment Day has turned themselves into one of the most formidable groups in all of WWE. Cutthroat tactics, rule bending, backstage ambushes. They'll do whatever it takes to win.
I respect Judgment Day's approach to competition. Why play by the rules and wait your turn when you can just go take what you want? If you don't like it, then stay out of the way.
Staying out of Judgment Day's business might be easier said than done. They're always looking for their next target to annihilate. Guys, if this match wants to live up to the rich history here in Minneapolis, it's absolutely going to have to deliver.
Turns it around. Sole of the foot meets the stomach.
Samoan drop. Jacob setting himself up.
The Spanish and the indigenous started to grow. The tension overflowed into what would be one of the most brutal revolts.
We're going to finish it off.
Swanton bomb. Oh, ouch. Into a dragon screw leg whip.
Turns that in his favor. Super kick. Reaction from JD.
Every counter being answered with another.
Oh, there's a headbutt. Up the rope he goes. We're going to finish it off.
Swanton bomb.
Jacob Fatu taking the upper hand in a big way.
Jacob Fatu is determined. Oh, look out. That's going to be on highlight reels for a long time. Incredible courage to even attempt that. Jacob Fatu trying to ramp things up.
But now to McDonough. He pulls off the reversal. Quick thinking that time.
Caught with that sharp elbow. Nasty kick to the face.
He's looking fairly drained.
We knew this match would be full-on havoc. So did these superstars.
And he makes the tag.
Watch out, coming in hot. Up high. Cross body.
Balor having trouble shifting the tides.
Finn's getting it. Trying to go for it again. What a DDT. Jacob about to end this fight.
2 count.
Comes out on top in this tag team match.
Here are your winners. The team up. Jacob Fatu, The Rock, Rey Mysterio, and Wade Barrett.
With the Judgment Day suffering defeat, I fear they'll make everyone pay for their sins.
This type of defeat will force the Judgment Day to strike back. There will be severe repercussions with devastating impact.
The Spanish in 1550 and kept fighting for the next 40 years. The Chichimeca had initially asked the Tepehuan to join their war effort, but the Tepehuan remained neutral. The Spanish could not seem to defeat the desert nomads. It was such a big problem that Spain switched up their tactics. Being unable to defeat them militarily, the Spanish issued a new policy known as peace by purchase. This was where the Catholic missionaries came into play. If you can't beat them, join them. The Spanish realized they could send in Catholic missionaries to pacify the hostile natives. Indigenous groups were supplied with food, equipment, and welcomed into specific towns. Then the missionaries went about the business of converting the natives to Christianity, slowly bringing tribal groups over to their side. This method was less violent and could be done strictly by missionaries instead of armies. In the end, the result would be the same. The Spanish would take over everything. The main Christian group involved in the conversions was the Jesuits. They began working with the Tepehuan people in 1596. They established a series of missions, and although there was some backlash, things mostly went well. Then came a character the church does not want you to know about. Something absolutely nuts happened in 1616. A leader rose up from the Tepehuan as a sort of Christ figure. He was a baptized Christian whose symbol was a broken cross. His message was to kill all Spaniards. Don't go anywhere, because the next part of this epic revolt is coming up later in the video. And now for a quick break. But first, I wanted to give a shout out and big thank you to Sam Roke and Eric Forsyth for supporting this channel. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already for more videos like this. Alien secrets at the Vatican. An expert claims to have inside info on something that happened nearly 100 years ago. They're saying that the Vatican is withholding information about aliens. This expert also says the Vatican is hiding secrets in its archives that it has no intention of ever releasing to the public. The expert's name is Steve Bassett. Steve claims that the church has always known about aliens and has had information on the subject going back centuries. This should be a shocking revelation, but it isn't. In 2023, a United States Air Force officer and former official with U.S. intelligence said the same thing at a congressional hearing. This other expert's name is David Grush. He said that the U.S. is in possession of alien spacecraft and dead alien pilots. Steve said the same thing. They both cited documents relating to the Italian government in 1933 and a secret crashed spaceship. David Grush alleged that he saw Benito Mussolini, the Italian dictator who went to war alongside Hitler, supposedly recovered a spacecraft. When the war was over, the spacecraft was picked up by the U.S. with help from Pope Pius XII. The church facilitated the whole thing, and President Franklin Roosevelt made sure nobody knew about it. Steve said that although he believes everything I just told you, there is a disappointing lack of evidence. Steve has asked for an investigation. He wants to know who found the spaceship in 1933, why the Catholic Church was involved, and how many people in the government know about it.
The Judgment Day is assembled here with nothing but menacing looks on their faces. They're out to do some serious damage here tonight.
Aren't they always? The Judgment Day approaches every match with astounding ferocity. They're not here to make friends or to compete fairly.
Good point, Byron.
What's Jacob Fatu's intentions here? Caught with a DDT. Is that all she wrote for McDonough?
2 count.
Got it. What a match and what a great team.
Here are your winners, the team of Jacob Fatu, The Rock, Rey Mysterio.
Sherry Autry certainly wishes she had never heard of the church either. When she was 14, she suffered abuse at the hands of a 28-year-old minister every night for 2 full months. Now 55 years old, Sherry recently conducted an interview with ABC News. The things she revealed about this bizarre sect of Christianity are enough to turn your stomach. What makes the church with no name so unique is that its ministers are not like other Christian ministers. They are known as workers and live with the members of their congregation. Workers live in the actual houses of their congregants for a month or 2 at a time. There are, for all intents and purposes...
The Judgment Day has turned themselves into one of the most formidable groups in all of WWE. Cutthroat tactics, rule bending, backstage ambushes. They'll do whatever it takes to win.
I respect Judgment Day's approach to competition. Why play by the rules and wait your turn when he has all the JD?
And looking at Jacob Fatu.
DDT! This spells trouble for McDonough.
I think that's it. That must be it.
Wow, got it. Big time tag team win.
She's only 7 years old in 1955. You might be wondering how a church
The
like this
team
is
of
operating in
Jacob Fatu, The Rock, Rey Mysterio, and
With the Judgment Day suffering defeat, I fear they'll make everyone pay for their sins.
This type of defeat will force the Judgment Day to strike back. There will be severe repercussions with devastating impact.
Order in which the church needed to be torn down and built up again. Irvin was kicked out of the church he created in 1914. Over the next 50 years, the church shrank into obscurity while still growing its members. From 1964 to 1984, it was estimated the church had at least 4 million members. Yet they it's almost completely secret. The only reason I'm telling you about it now is because of the internet. Several articles have been published, news coverage has been widespread, and this year the media has pried open the doors of the church. None of this would have been possible without the internet and social media. The church has no official headquarters, no official publications, and does not officially exist. The only written materials associated with the church are advertisements that lead to their gospel meetings. Mitchell Garabedian is an attorney representing one of the abuse victims. He said that when the ministers stay in the home, their job is to groom the family. They work from the inside to indoctrinate families into the religion. While within the home, it appears many of the ministers use the opportunity to abuse children. This is a huge case unfolding as...
The Judgment Day has turned themselves into one of the most formidable groups in all of WWE. Cutthroat tactics, rule bending, backstage ambushes. They'll do whatever it takes to win.
I I respect Judgment Day's approach to competition. Why play by the rules and wait your turn when you can just go, this can't go well.
And looking at Jacob Fatu.
DDT! Jacob about to end this fight.
Follows up, shoulders down.
Big time win in this tag team match.
Here are your winners, the team of Jacob Fatu, The Rock, Rey Mysterio, and Wade Barrett.
The Takawan Revolt Part 2.
We're just gonna cruise today.
Was named Latas. He started out a lot like the way Jesus Christ started out. Latas had a couple followers. He had some good ideas, and he spoke about revolution. He was even baptized as a Christian.
Actually, I do want to check quickly any live events been added.
He said the gods were angry because the Tepawan people had so easily abandoned them in favor of the Christian God.
I'm pretty sure I'm up to date on them all, but
all Spanish people and all missionaries from their lands. What you might find truly fascinating is how he blended ancient indigenous beliefs with new Christian ideas. He even called himself a bishop. Latas promised that killing the Spanish would appease the old gods, who would bless their lands with good crops and fat cows. Yet there hadn't even been cows before. Cows were introduced by the Spanish. What the church won't tell you is just how big of an impact the Jesuits, whom Pope Francis is one of, by the way, had on the native hardships and what was borderline slavery. Settlements, which facilitated the spread of disease. Jesuits were firm believers that living in a city was civilized, and so was a privilege that they gave to the locals. The Jesuits also worked closely with the new Spanish labor system known as encomienda. They provided the Spanish with a steady supply of indigenous workers for their mines. Can you guess who the Jesuits identified the rebel leader Latas as? They said he was the Antichrist. The Tepehuan fought to return to their traditional ways, and the Spanish fought against what they believed to be a rebellion.
for live event matches.
The revolt kicked off in earnest on November 16, 1616. The end of the violent conflict is filled with horrible twists and turns, so keep watching. The Vatican secretly created
I don't think they've actually updated anything yet.
play a secret role in the science of in vitro fertilization, or IVF. It's one of the weirdest aspects of the Vatican the public doesn't know about, and it can be traced to one man in Rome in 1957. It was Ash Wednesday Mass, and Bruno Lunenfeld was giving a presentation on a developing science. He had been working on it for the past 4 years. Bruno had made strides in inducing ovulation in women who were struggling to get pregnant. You might be wondering why Bruno was giving a TED talk on fertilization at the Vatican. It's because there were some board members of a pharmaceutical company in the crowd. He needed support from that pharmaceutical company, called Istituto Farmacologico Sorono, to proceed. Unfortunately, he wanted something that the pharmaceutical company didn't think they could get for him. Bruno needed tens of thousands of liters of urine. Female urine, to be exact. He would require 30,000 liters to start, and the bigwig pharmaceuticals didn't like the idea. Luckily for Bruno, there was somebody else who heard his speech who did like the idea. That person was Don Giulio Pacelli, an Italian prince. With help from the prince...
Here we go with the Judgment Day in the ring. This group causes chaos and destruction wherever they go, all in the pursuit of amassing as much power as they can.
Judgment Day is a legitimate threat to anyone in WWE. They have the numbers, the talent, and they will smash any supers looking to end this.
And looking at Jacob Fatu.
Lights out, DDT connects. Jacob about to end this fight.
There's two.
And they score the win. What a tag match.
Here are your winners, the team of Jacob Fatu, The Rock, Rey Mysterio, and Wade Barrett.
And during a loss like this will cause the Judgment Day to question their powers.
This loss puts the strength of the Judgment Day in serious question.
Don Giulio Pacelli, the Italian prince, was the nephew of Pope Francis. He is the literal definition of nepotism, which comes from the Latin word for nephew, nepos. The Pope's nephew represented the Vatican's investments on the boards of the Banco di Roma. He also represented the Vatican's pharmaceutical, shipping, and piping companies. He was also a diplomat, a member of the Sovereign Military Order of the Knights of Malta, and the grandnephew of Pope Leo XIII. This man was as close to the Pope as anyone. Make no mistake, he and the Church profited hugely from the creation of IVF. The Vatican says don't do it, but they're kind of the ones who made it happen. The Passion Gospels. Have you heard they're making a sequel to The Passion of the Christ, starring the guy who played Jesus in the first one? It's called The Passion of the Christ, Resurrection. Now, do you know why it's called The Passion? The answer can be found in the Passion Gospels, early Christian...
The Judgment Day is assembled here with nothing but menacing looks on their faces. They're out to do some serious damage here tonight.
Aren't they always? The Judgment Day approaches every match with astounding ferocity. They're not here to make friends or to compete fairly. Good. What's Jacob Fatu's intentions here? Boom! DDT! Jacob about to end this fight. Two. Got it. What a tag match we just saw.
Here are your winners. The team of Jacob Fatu, Barack, and Wade Barrett.
Many of them claim to have been written by people like Pontius Pilate, Joseph, and even Nicodemus. Maybe some of them were written by these famous biblical characters, but the Church still refuses to accept the texts as truly biblical. Let's take a look at the Gospel of Nicodemus. It's a Passion Gospel, sometimes known as the Acts of Pilate, that was allegedly written in the earliest days of the Church. Nicodemus was the Pharisee from the Gospel of John who took an interest in the teachings of Jesus Christ. He became close associates with Jesus. If this book was really written by one of Jesus Christ's pals, it's a huge deal and the Church needs to come clean. As for its contents, things get turbulent very quickly. The first part of the book deals specifically with Jesus Christ's death. The Roman government heard testimonies for...
Here we go with the Judgment Day in the ring. This group causes chaos and destruction wherever they go, all in the pursuit of amassing as much power as they can.
Judgment Day is a legitimate threat to anyone in WWE. They have the numbers, the talent, and they will smash any superstar in their... What's Jacob Fatu's intentions here? Down with a DDT! Did Jacob Fatu get enough of it? 2 count. And that's it. Scores the win for the team.
Here are your winners. The team of Jacob Fatu, and Wade Barrett.
With the Judgment Day suffering defeat, I fear they'll make everyone pay for their sins.
This type of defeat will force the Judgment Day to strike back. There will be severe repercussions with devastating impact.
One of the largest and most Christian church is about as far from the Vatican. They've allegedly been involved in both murder and kidnapping. The Iglesia ni Cristo, or Church of Christ in English, has its headquarters in a massive Christian temple that looks more like a fantasy castle. It's known as the Ink Central Temple, and its spires peek out above the squat buildings of Metro Manila, the Philippines. This is no small organization. The church has roughly 7,000 congregations across the globe. There are a large number of them in Canada, especially in Ontario and British Columbia. In fact, there are 80, meaning more than one in just about every major Canadian city. The church was founded over a century ago in 1913 by Felix Y. Manalo. In 2009, it was taken over by the founder's grandson, Executive Minister Eduardo Manalo. Something changed in 2009. An investigation done by the Fifth Estate reviewed hundreds of court documents and police reports. They even spoke to former members and sources within the police department. What their investigation revealed was that after 2009, church members in the Philippines became dangerous. Corruption spread like cancer.
Here we go with the Judgment Day in the ring. This group causes chaos and destruction wherever they go, all in pursuit of amassing as much power as they can.
Judgment Day is a legitimate threat to anyone in WWE. They have the numbers, the talent, and they will smash any superstar in their way. What's JD in for?
And looking at Jacob Fatu, and that DDT was well delivered.
Jacob about to end this fight.
Being taken down in this manner will only make the Judgment Day more ruthless and more vengeful.
This loss puts the strength of the...
Handcuffed, thrown in the back of a car parked in the countryside, and then his kidnappers threw a grenade in the back seat. They were hoping to swiftly take care of him, but he survived to flee the country and tell his tale. Let's take a closer look at the church itself. Iglesia Ni Cristo was created by a man who called himself the last messenger of God. Felix Waimanalo said that his church was the one true church and was the restored church originally founded by Jesus Christ.
The Judgment Day has turned themselves into one of the most formidable groups in all of WWE. Cutthroat tactics, rule bending, backstage ambushes. They'll do whatever it takes to win.
I respect Judgment Day's approach to competition. Why play by the rules and wait your turn when you can... He has all the JD.
And looking at Jacob Fatu.
Implanted by the DDT. Did Jacob Fatu get enough of it? 2. Comes out on top in this tag team match.
Here are your winners, the team of Jacob Fatu.
The mediator between God and humanity. A man, not another aspect of God. The Tepehuan Revolt, Part 3. The official beginning of the Tepehuan Revolt, led by a man the Spanish believed to be the Antichrist, was in November of 1616. A wagon train on its way to Mexico City was attacked by the Tepehuan. These people were highly skilled in guerrilla warfare. They hit various Spanish settlements and Jesuit missions at the exact same time. They were incredibly organized and well coordinated. Around 100 people were massacred.
The Judgment Day has turned themselves into one of the most formidable groups in all of WWE. Cutthroat tactics, rule bending, backstage ambushes. They'll do whatever it takes to win.
I respect Judgment Day's approach to competition. Why play by the rules and wait your turn when you can just go take... I think the crowd knows what we're about to see. Down by the DDT. Jacob about to end this fight. 2. Big time win in this tag team match.
Here are your winners, the team of Jacob.
The Tepehuan still had 100% of their numbers before they were wiped out by disease. Now, with only 10,000 of them left, karma was biting them on the rear end. They hadn't come to the neighbors' aid, and now their neighbors abandoned them. Although they started out strong, their diminished forces were no match for the Spanish. When word spread of the revolt, the Spanish gathered their forces to squash it. They rounded up 75 local indigenous leaders, regardless of who they were affiliated with, and executed them. As the revolt continued, the Spanish abandoned their previous practice of peace by purchase. They engaged in a full-scale war of pure fire and blood. They targeted war chiefs and executed them. The Christ figure Cuautlatas was killed in 1618. By 1620, the revolt was officially over. The area was devastated. Although Jesuits were allowed to return to their missions, the governor declared the region depopulated of Spaniards. The churches were burned, the silver mines were destroyed, and the Spanish cracked down hard on other settlements. Even though the revolt was done, there were still Tepehuan groups living in the mountains. Jesuits spent years visiting them in their remote homes and persuading them to move into the cities. Slowly, that's what happened. By 1745, the Tepehuan were overwhelmed by the number of Spanish speakers around them. They were absorbed into mestizo society. These days, there are a handful of small groups that still retain some of the original customs, though thankfully not cannibalism. As of 2005, there were roughly 20,000 Tepehuan still living in Durango and Chihuahua. What are your thoughts on the role that the church played in the events of the Tepehuan Revolt? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't already, and come back soon for more.
The Judgment Day is assembled here with nothing but menacing looks on their faces. They're out to do some serious damage here tonight.
Aren't they always? The Judgment Day approaches every match with astounding ferocity. They're not here to make friends or to compete fairly.
Good point, Bob.
What's JD in for?
DDT plants them. Did Jacob Fatu get enough of it? And cover down for the match.
Scores the win. What a great team.
Here are your winners, the team of Jacob Fatu, The Rock,
all-seeing eye, or the Eye of Providence, has long been associated with Freemasonry. It's even featured on the back of the US dollar bill. But apparently, this symbol was used long before Freemasonry was established. It was used by Christians to represent God is always watching. You have also likely seen the Masonic square and compass symbol with the letter G in the center. The G stands for God, while the square and compass are seen as tools used by builders and architects. They used to teach initiates and lessons of the symbolic lodge. The number 33 has also been linked to the Masonic order. But do you know why? New Masons start out at the first degree, but as they study and prove their passion and knowledge...
Here we go with the Judgment Day in the ring. This group causes chaos and destruction wherever they go, all in the pursuit of amassing as much power as they can.
Judgment Day is a legitimate threat to anyone in WWE. They have the numbers, the talent, and they will smash any superstar in their way.
What's Jacob Fatu's intentions here? DDT!
This spells trouble for McDonough.
Taking advantage of the opportunity.
And it's over! Big tag team win there!
Here are your winners, the team of Jacob Fatu, The Rock, Rey Mysterio.
According to Mystics, the number 33 carries double the amount of energy of the single number 3, while simultaneously carrying the essence of 6 in root number. 33 supposedly contains protective and nurturing energy and is closely linked to selflessness and love. George Washington joined the Masonic Lodge in Fredericksburg, Virginia, when he was 20 years old in 1753. During the War for Independence, General Washington attended Masonic events.
We're doing all right.
The Judgment Day is assembled here with nothing but menacing looks on their faces. They're out to do some serious damage here tonight.
Aren't they always? The Judgment Day approaches every match with astounding ferocity. They're not here to make friends or to compete fairly.
Jacob's planning something here.
And looking at Jacob too.
Absolutely spiked DDT. Wow, got it. Big time tag team win.
Here are your winners, the team of Jacob Fatu, The Rock, Rey Mysterio, and Wade Barrett.
And during a loss like this will cause the Judgment Day to question their powers.
This loss puts the strength of the Judgment Day in serious question.
The matter is that Freemasons were men who strived for freedom of religion and thought, as well as equality. Sure, they kept much about their group private, but that doesn't mean they were plotting anything vicious behind closed doors. In fact, Masons fought for women's rights and the end of slavery more fiercely than others. Ouroboros. One of the most mysterious and ancient symbols in the history of humanity is the Ouroboros. It sounds like a made-up word, but hey, all words are made up.
The Judgment Day has turned themselves into one of the most formidable groups in all of WWE. Cutthroat tactics, rule bending, backstage ambushes. They'll do whatever it takes to win.
I respect Judgment Day's approach to competition. Why play by the rules and wait your turn when you can just...
What's JD in for?
And looking at Jacob Fatu, and there was some brutal impact on that DDT.
Jacob about to end this fight. Got it. What a tag match we just saw.
Here are your winners, the team of Jacob Fatu, The Rock, Rey Mysterio, and Wade Barrett.
Being used up and renewed. The origins of the Ouroboros seem to come from Egyptian culture. The oldest image of an Ouroboros is found in an ancient Egyptian funerary text called the Enigmatic Book of the Netherworld. It's depicted in the tomb of Pharaoh Tutankhamun from the 18th dynasty, and in the work Hieroglyphica, which discusses Egyptian hieroglyphs from the 4th and 5th century, author Orapollo says that the Ouroboros symbolizes the universe. Orapollo explains that when the Egyptians wanted to represent the universe, they drew a...
Here we go with the Judgment Day in the ring. This group causes chaos and destruction wherever they go, all in the pursuit of amassing as much power as they can.
Judgment Day is a legitimate threat to anyone in WWE. They have the numbers, the talent, and they will smash any superstar in their way.
Uh-oh, we know what's next. DDT! Jacob about to end this fight.
And staying with it, into the cover.
Got it. What a match, and what a great team.
Here are your winners, the team of Jacob Fatu, Karak, Rey Mysterio, and Wade Barrett.
Being taken down in this manner will only make the Judgment Day more ruthless and more vengeful.
The Judgment Day won't...
Time and the universe. It was associated with figures like the divine serpent Ouroboros and Dionysus, the god of wine, fertility, and nature cycle. For Greek alchemists, the Ouroboros symbolized rebirth and the alchemical process, where materials go through cycles of purification to reach perfection. In Roman mythology, the Ouroboros had a similar meaning, representing the idea of eternal return and circularity. The snake biting its tail was a symbol of continuity and constant renewal.
The Judgment Day has turned themselves into one of the most formidable groups in all of WWE. Cutthroat tactics, rule bending, backstage ambushes. They'll do whatever it takes to win.
I respect Judgment Day's approach to competition. Why play by the rules and wait your turn when you can just...
And looking at Jacob Fatu.
DDT! Did Jacob Fatu get enough of it?
Wasting no time. Shoulders are down.
Got it. There's the winners of the tag match.
Here are your winners, the team of Jacob Fatu, Karak, Rey Mysterio, and Wade Barrett.
At different points in time, it meant different things. Today, it's often associated with evil and witchcraft, thanks to the Catholic Church and its popes. The pentagram hasn't always been associated with evil, though. No, that opinion didn't exist until 1184, when Pope Lucius III started the First Inquisition against it. Before that, the five-pointed star symbolized the 5 wounds of Jesus Christ. It also represented the beginning and the end, the Alpha and the Omega, because it could be drawn in one...
The Judgment Day is assembled here with nothing but menacing looks on their faces. They're out to do some serious damage here tonight.
Aren't they always? The Judgment Day approaches every match with astounding ferocity. They're not here to make friends or to compete fairly.
Good. Jacob's planning something here.
And looking at Jacob Fatu.
Spiked. Did Jacob Fatu get enough of it? Cashing in on that effort.
There's 2.
And that's it. Scores the win for the team.
Here are your winners, the team of Jacob Fatu, Karak, Rey Mysterio, and Wade Barrett.
Napoleon defeated Spain, but it wasn't officially disbanded until 1834. In 1855, the pentagram's association with evil was solidified. This happened after a former Roman Catholic priest and occult writer, Alphonse Louis Constant, wrote Dogma et Rituel de la Haute Magie. This book was later translated into English by Arthur Edward Waite under the title Transcendental Magic. So, what did the book say about the pentagram? Alphonse wrote that a reversed pentagram with 2 points facing up is a symbol of evil and attracts dark forces. This was the first time in writing that the pentagram was linked to evil forces. Then in 1966, American author, musician, and occultist Anton LaVey founded the Church of Satan. Interestingly, this church isn't made up of actual Satan worshippers, but atheists who use the word Satan from its original Hebrew meaning, adversary. They don't believe in Satan as a being. Instead, they view Satan as a symbol of pride, individualism, and rebellion against Abrahamic religions. In 1968, LaVey released an album featuring the sigil of Baphomet on the cover. This symbol is an inverted pentagram with a goat's head in the center, surrounded by Hebrew letters. And this sigil of Baphomet quickly became the symbol of the church. The pentagram became strongly linked to evil, partly because of the attention it got from the media. In the 1970s and 80s, there was a rise in both highly publicized serial killings and interest in the occult. The media released many articles and news reports connecting these killings to satanic groups, often mentioning the pentagram as their symbol. Since then, the pentagram has been used in movies, TV shows, and books as a symbol of Satanism or dark witchcraft. As a result, the meaning of the upside-down pentagram and even the right-side-up one has changed. This is much like the upside-down cross, which actually represents Peter the Apostle. Now, both are seen as symbols rejecting the positive power associated with their right side up.
Oh,
You can thank the
it's
Catholic
so
Church for
far
Saturn
away.
worship. Saturn, the sixth planet from the Sun, was once worshipped as a god, and he wasn't a benevolent god either. In fact, he was downright evil and associated with the devil himself.
The Judgment Day has turned themselves into one of the most formidable groups in all of WWE. Cutthroat tactics, rule bending, backstage ambushes. They'll do whatever it takes to win.
I respect Judgment Day's approach to competition. Why play by the rules and wait your turn?
Oh, here we go. And looking at Jacob Fatu. Oh, what a DDT. Wow.
Jacob about to end this fight.
Two.
Big time win in this tag team match.
Here are your winners, the team of Jacob Fatu, The Rock.
Kaaba. What's that? It's a giant black cube. The Hajj is linked to the life of the 7th century prophet Muhammad, but the source of the ritual stretches back even further than that, to the time of Abraham. During the pilgrimage, millions of Muslim people joined together to perform a series of pre-Islamic ceremonies. For starters, everyone wears the same thing, a single piece of white clothing. The crowd then walks 7 times around the Kaaba counterclockwise before taking turns touching or moving a black stone that's mounted on the corner wall of the black cube. Now, I know that these rituals...
Here we go with the Judgment Day in the ring. This group causes chaos and destruction wherever they go, all in the pursuit of amassing as much power as they can.
Judgment Day is a legitimate threat to anyone in WWE. They have the numbers, the talent, and they will smash any superstar in their way. Jacob's planning something here.
And looking at Jacob Fatu.
DDT! Jacob about to end this fight.
Cover. We have a cover.
There's two.
Comes out on top in this tag team match.
actually references the
Here are your
mysterious
winners,
hexagon.
the team of Jacob Fatu, The Rock, Rey Mysterio, and
Being taken down in this manner will only make the Judgment Day more ruthless and more vengeful.
The Judgment Day won't go away. This kind of loss will only drive them to finish the job.
Does that name sound familiar? In the original translations of the Old Testament, the name Elohim was used for God, but this didn't exactly mean the creator, almighty God as we think of today. It actually referred to the god Saturn. And since the word Satan comes from this name, it raises the question, who is the Bible really referring to as God? Many names for God and other things actually reference Satan, which is why, for example, churches have elders with L in the name. Saturn is also connected to things like wedding rings and earrings, which originally came from worshipping the planet. In ancient times, women were expected to listen to and obey Saturn, which is why they wore hoop earrings, again symbolizing the rings of the planet. But here's something to think about. How did people long ago even know that Saturn had rings? Perhaps they knew more about astronomy than most like to believe. But what do you think? The king of birds. If humans were the size of mice, you would not want to come face to face with an eagle. You wouldn't stand a chance. These heavenly creatures full of laws are considered to be the king of birds. They're even associated with the King of Kings, Jesus Christ. The eagle is one of the most widely used symbols from ancient times that's still used today. In America, it's often overlooked, given the fact that it's literally everywhere. You might even have this symbol somewhere near you right this second if you carry cash
What are we
or
looking
change
for
around in your
here?
wallet. In the US, the eagle is featured on quarters and on the backs of dollar bills. It can be seen mounted on presidential podiums and on sports teams' jerseys. The bird was chosen by the founding fathers in 1782 to represent the country. But eagle symbolism can be traced back further than you might think. In Rome, the eagle was associated with leadership and strength. But this was only the case after they stole the symbol from Egypt. That's right.
The Judgment Day has turned themselves into one of the
let's
most
see, here
formidable
we go.
groups in all of WWE. Cutthroat tactics, rule bending, backstage ambushes. They'll do whatever it takes to win.
I respect Judgment Day's approach to competition. Why play by the rules and wait your turn when you can just go take what you want?
What's Jacob Fatu's intentions here? DDT! Is that all she wrote? The McDonough!
match.
Here are your winners, the team of Jacob Fatu, The Rock, Rey Mysterio, and Wade Barrett.
And during a loss like this will cause the Judgment Day to question their powers.
This type of defeat will force the Judgment Day to strike back. There will be severe
The Elder elaborated on the characteristics of the eagle. He commented on the bird's perceptive eyesight as well as its parenting behaviors. He wrote that the eagle would force its young children to look directly at the sun, and if any of them looked away, they were thrown out of the nest. Talk about tough love. Then, about 300 years later, Pliny's observations on the king of birds was incorporated by an unknown author into a book called The Physiologist. This text aimed to teach Christian morals, featuring both real and mythical creatures, including the eagle, and framed them in a biblical context. Over generations, the influential stories in the book were passed down.
Alright guys, it's Rose. It's going to be one of those days. Yeah, I might come back a bit later on. We'll see.
According to this legend, the eagle